I mean, I don't want to blow my whole conversation piece here, but oh, look, she just put her coffee down on the table. Girl.
Yes, 'tis the season. We finally finished Ozark.
Oh, congratulations.
So we achieved that task.
That feels
Check
really
that off
good.
the list. So now we'll move into holiday. So I'm like curating my list from my mom's sister.
So we've seen 3.
Okay.
We saw one, I don't know what it's called, Paris, and there's a dancer and a singer, and they're in Paris. It's terrible. Not even really redeemably terrible.
Just bad.
And then my daughter said, why are they always in a castle in Scotland or falling in love with a come-to-life snowman?
Those all sound like pretty nice scenarios.
Are we recording?
This is The Naturalist. In every episode, we're covering the products, ideas, and trends that are shaping the CPG industry.
Or that we just really like.
So, you've been traveling a little bit, and you've been
A bit of travel, yeah.
some events. You were in San Francisco last week?
Yes, I was in San Francisco for the NCN Fall Investor Meeting, which was great. And then just today I was at a CEO roundtable through BizWest, which covers business news for the Boulder and surrounding area and focused on the CPG space. So at both of those events, definitely garnered a lot of insights about things that are happening and was able to share some of the things that we're observing as well. So yeah, and also just have to say San Francisco was beautiful.
That was kind of my next question. What did you eat?
We had some good Italian food. It was a quick trip, so I was just there for 2 nights. 1 night? 2 nights?
No, 1 or 2 nights.
2 nights. I was over 2 nights.
2 nights.
I can't remember what I ate.
Do you like oysters?
I used to be an oyster gal. I've sort of weaned myself off of oysters. Now I have just too many phobias to engage in raw shellfish.
That's fair.
So yeah, delicious food, beautiful. It was at the location. It was at this beautiful space in Golden Gate State Park. So it was just like beautiful views. And NCN, for those who don't know, is our event that's focused on connecting entrepreneurs who are both in the ingredient and technology space, as well as the finished products, so brands, finished product brands as well, with investors. So we bring together a group of companies, bring them onto the stage to do short pitches for a room full of investors. And so through that, we're able to see some of the innovations like we do through the Nexty Awards or Pitch Slam at Expo, but also really hear feedback from investors on what they're looking for. And then the really beautiful thing about NCN is we'll often see, deals can happen right afterwards, but sometimes we'll see a relationship starts there. And then in a couple years, when the company is ready and the investor is ready, that then we'll see some of those investments. So a lot of great companies have come through NCN, but it just shows it's more about the relationship building and then moving into the capital piece of it, the financial piece of it, rather than just jumping right into an investment. But lots of great investors in the room.
I know we talked about this last year on the podcast a little bit about a few of those success stories. And the one that always comes to mind when I'm thinking about NCN is Honey Pot.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a huge investment. Seeing that brand start really small, starting at NCN and then growing from there. And I don't know if they started at NCN, but at early stages we're at NCN and then growing from there. I think that's really magical.
Yeah. That example stands out to me too. Me too. I know. And I know Mike was like so excited when he's like, oh, an investment happened from this. And we saw them way back when. So yeah, there were really great companies there and, lots of issues that kind of bubbled up from that. I think, the investment landscape is changing. We have had, we cover deals and have like deal flow database through NCN, and it's just been a quiet couple of years. I think we are coming out of it. We'll continue to come out of it. But one thing that's happening right now is that investors are really focusing on profitability. So everyone's talking about profitability. And this is a shift from where the industry was several years ago. There was a time when it was like, companies were just focused on revenue, and fast growth and fast exits. And we were seeing a lot of acquisitions happening at 10 million. Now that's really rare. Most of the acquisitions are happening for brands that are at 100 million plus. And so it is changing for emerging brands, and emerging brands just have to be focusing on profitability, efficient cash flow, efficiency, being efficient with their capital. And that's definitely a shift in mindset. So I think for an industry, we're going to have to realize that's what investors are looking for right now. They want to see returns. And so companies have to figure out how to do that while also making these ESG and sustainability commitments that take time, take money. So it's an interesting kind of friction point that we're seeing in the space right now.
Well, we've talked a little bit before about that shift to I don't remember the exact words we used, but the slow growth.
Yeah.
The really conscious, slow growth as opposed to what you said before, just going all in, making it really big and then getting out.
Yeah, totally. It was interesting at the CEO roundtable I was at today. One of the CEOs there, I commented on just patience. Someone asked, well, what's it going to take for companies to get the attention of investors or to be successful? And I do think, rather than that rapid growth that burns up a lot of capital, you may have a lot of sales, but you are not profitable.
Right.
Those days are going to be gone. And so patience, I think one of the things that it's going to take is patience. TIG does a really great job of talking about that. Because, the tardigrade. Do you know tardigrade?
I do know the tardigrade analogy. Why don't you refresh our
well, it was
listener.
I don't know, the slow growth, the very intentional growth. So TIG and others have been talking about that. So I think we'll see more of that and continuing to just figure out what are those tactics that are going to reinforce your kind of sustainability as a brand, sustainability as being a long-term viable brand that's going to offer returns for your investors.
Do you think a good example of that might be the acquisition of Siete? Because I felt when I heard that news, Siete is a brand that's been around for, I feel a long time.
Yeah.
Probably not. I always feel we've heard about this brand forever, but but maybe that's not true in the general marketplace.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt wow, they haven't already been acquired. It really felt this is a brand that it has shown its profitability, that has been in the marketplace for a long time, that has really established itself.
Yeah.
As opposed to this very new up and coming emerging brands. And obviously, I can't sit here and recite the details of the Siete deal.
Do we know how much they were?
I believe there's an article about it on newhope.com.
Wow. So Pepsi acquired them just last month, beginning of 1.2 billion.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, so huge. So I thought that was really interesting because that was a brand, obviously, that was really well positioned, but that had been in the marketplace for a long time.
I think that's a great example. I think it absolutely is, which obviously is very
I'm always worried when I start talking finance.
Nailed that. Our financial guru, Adrienne Smith. So I am fiscally responsible.
I can do math in my head.
But I think absolutely a great example and really proving. And then there's another side of the investment story, which is the angel investors. Yeah. We had the angel group on. Definitely check out that episode. I think for earlier stage brands, even brands that are, less than 5 million or even pre-revenue, that's where there's going to be more traction in terms of raising capital is with those angel investors, particularly ones that are in the industry that are committed to this and are going to
that are looking for those mission-driven, values-based brands.
Yeah, definitely. So then, today it was interesting because that came up a little bit, but then there were other just very real concerns that these CEOs were talking about. So they were CEOs all in the Boulder, Denver, kind of Colorado area. There were some people who have been in the industry for a long time, like Mark Retzlaff. There were some that were newer to the industry. Boulder Chamber of Commerce was represented there. But a couple of the takeaways from that were tariffs. People are really concerned about tariffs and what might happen there, and are very aware that if tariffs were to, double potentially, that's really going to impact the pricing of their products. It's going to affect the consumer, and they're trying to figure that out. There were some immigration conversations that came up around labor and trying to figure that out. And then there was also some optimism around, innovation being alive and well. Some people felt that innovation was still strong. Utopia Now was actually brought up.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, as a great place, a great hub for innovation, but also challenges around retail and what that means, trade spend, the amount of money that companies are spending on their distributors, on their retail partnerships. All of that is just proving that it's really hard for brands to be profitable right now. So there were some bright spots, but also some very real concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a lot to process.
I mean, you would have enjoyed NCN, though, because there were some really innovative companies presenting. So on the topic of innovation, I think we are seeing a couple kind of key areas where a lot of that is bubbling up.
Any big trends or emerging trends from NCN, just from the brands that were presenting, or just kind of the overall vibe?
Definitely reinforced a few of the trends that we've been tracking. And aren't we about to come out with something big?
We are the week of December 2nd. We're going to be launching our 2025 trends prediction. So stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned.
They're really good.
We're excited about
those.
And seeing some of the companies presenting at NCN just showed that, there's momentum around women's health. There's momentum around functional.
We should talk about that sometime on the show. We never
make sure we bring that into the discussion. Women's health for sure, functional products, but multifunctional. So having more than one benefit and combining it.
You've been talking about
with
this a lot.
Yeah, like hydration and gut health, for example. What are some other, let's do a mashup.
Are we talking multifunctional, like supplement meets skincare as a baby? Looks amazing. Is that the technical term for it?
Yeah.
Or are we talking like multifunction skincare products like the Daybird, serum plus?
Yeah, well, I think both are happening. I would say the one that I saw more was like identifying a few benefits that you can offer in the product. And I saw a company doing that in the beverage category. So that was the like hydration and gut health, electrolytes and prebiotics, things like that. And so I think it's just marrying kind of top concerns and packaging them in a convenient product. There was protein. There was certainly protein out there. And just really like science backed. That certainly is an overarching theme of NCN, which is any of the ingredients or technologies or products just having true science and efficacy behind them. So people talking about that as well. I think as it relates to women's health, going beyond hormonal health,
going beyond menopause,
going beyond like reproductive health and into, it may be hormone related, but not in the way that you think.
Right. Well, we have talked a lot about in the last year or year and a half about libido,
fertility, reproductive,
postpartum. And then of course the last year has really been perimenopause, menopause. So we've been talking about this a lot too, just the hormonal health. And I know that's part of menopause for sure, but it's also part of other stages of women.
Right. It's also part of sleep. It's also part of energy. It's all of these things that like everything. It's like related to everything. So I think when it comes to women's health, it's thinking about those other areas, like just women wanting to optimize their day,
Why shouldn't they?
Let's do it. Is it toasty in here?
It's really warm. I thought it was just my hormonal health. But I love how every conversation, back to hormones.
So good old hormones.
So it's the middle of November.
Yes.
We got any other exciting things coming up on the agenda before we wrap this up? We've got the end of the next nomination period wraps up on December 2nd.
Yeah. Anything that you should tell people about what you're seeing, what they shouldn't do? We just had our do's and don'ts last week.
I just, we've had quite a few nominations so far, and I'm just really excited about the quality of the products. There's lots of things that have come from Utopia Now that were kind of completely new to the marketplace. Of course, we had a couple hundred first-time exhibitors at Utopia Now, so I'm really excited to see them in the mix. Just lots of really cool innovation, lots of regenerative brands, packaging. Yeah. So I'm really excited. So get those nominations in.
I love that you brought that up though, just on the innovation front, because that came up in this conversation I was just in. And the question was like, is it impossible to innovate now for many of the reasons we talked about. The fact that you identified like regen, climate, packaging, supply chain resiliency, like those types of ways of innovating.
Yeah.
It feels like we'll continue to see that for sure. Use of AI and technology, those types of things. So I'm excited to see what comes through for the next season. Like, new to market ideas, but new to market, like ways of doing things.
And solutions.
Yeah.
That's what we're always looking at is, what are these new to market solutions to problems that people have, or maybe they don't even know that they have.
Yeah.
And we've certainly seen that recently with all the new protein applications or versatility of protein in different products.
We did see a protein product at NCN. There's a protein flour.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can have like a lot of protein with your bread.
Was it jicama flour?
No.
I guess
No, it was like
flour.
actual.
Well, like actual flour.
Wheat flour.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. But like a functional protein.
Cool. Yeah. Tell them to nominate for a Nexty.
I'm excited. So Nexty's big one, Inform a Boulder holiday party.
Oh yeah, holiday party. That's on my list.
Yeah.
The trends release that we mentioned before, the big 2025 trends.
Yeah.
And then it's Expo West. It's right around the corner.
Yeah. And then we just take a nap for the next 3 months and wake up in Anaheim. All right. Well, be sure to rate and subscribe.
Yes.
That will enable you to get notifications whenever there's a new episode. Like my husband before bed last night was like, "Oh, just got a notification."
Oh, really?
My favorite podcast. I was like, "What's that?"
Maybe we add a notification about our favorite holiday movies.
Oh.
Or should we call them films that make them sound fancier?
Yes, films, only if it's about falling in love with a snowman in a castle.
With a professional dancer in Paris.
Check that one out. And